Greetings, YouTubers. This is Dano, also known as Incognis, and today I've been thinking about school. Okay, I'm 34, and I think about when school changed, somewhere around junior high or so, and the quality of school has drastically dropped since then. I've seen so many important classes dropped off, like metal shop, wood shop, home economics. And there was actually a class I did for doing some home-based math, like balancing checkbooks and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, why don't schools teach stuff we can use to survive, stuff that's going to help us in the real world? I mean, I look at all this history and everything like that, and while it is great to know some history so we don't repeat the same stupid mistakes, as people in history, there's a lot of it that only serves as conversational banter, between two people to show how smart they are and how much they know about the past. But they don't teach you conversation skills and all that kind of stuff. So you know what? I'm going to name off a list of things that I wish I saw in school growing up, and I hope that more schools introduce. Okay, now the state of Nebraska has some fairly decent schools compared to other states I've seen. And, I've sat in some high schools and junior highs and whatnot trying to see what they teach these people for critical learning. So here we go. Here's a list of stuff that I would like to see schools educate people on. Okay, social school. Social skills. Alright, it's important to know how to talk to people. It's important to know what, you need to do in order to initiate a conversation, in order to keep a conversation going, in order to have good camaraderie and build social networks and all that kind of stuff. Ethics. There are a lot of people these days that are young that have just no ethics. They just want to soak up a paycheck, and they have no gumption to be proud of their work, or, they're easily compromised, for money. Okay, ethics are important. Ethics build personality, character, and make you a good person. Okay, manners and respect also fall in with that. Manners and respect are a necessity in life. If you don't have manners and respect, don't leave your home. Okay? Because if you're disrespectful all the time and you've got no manners or etiquette, then obviously you're not going to contribute much to humanity for very long, okay? Unless you're working behind the scenes being a meat packer or, being a construction person, okay? But even then, you have to communicate with other people you work with, and nobody likes working with the dick. All right? How to survive with that technology, okay? It's inevitable one of these days we're going to have some horrible thing happen where technology is just going to fail us horribly. Whether it's super virus, whether it's an EMP blowing above the atmosphere and causing, half the nation to go out. And what's going to happen? Well, aside from obvious rioting and looting, we're going to have a lot of people sitting behind a counter and they're not even going to know how to do basic hand math, to write out, purchases and all that, okay? There are people who are losing social skills more and more every day because they gotta sit there and they gotta text people and they don't want to exchange words with people anymore. Okay? And when this is not there, they're not gonna know what to do. Sorry. Social skills are important, and so is how to survive without technology. You gotta be able to know how to... You know what? If you need to figure it out, okay? I'm not a teacher by any means. How to cook. How to cook is important because when you become a college student, I'm sorry, but eating ramen and Totino's pepperoni pizzas, pizza pockets, hot pockets, and, basic junk food and ordering out all the time, you're going to piss through your money real quick, and you're going to get tired of eating the same foods all the time. It's going to feel oppressive, okay? How to cook is great because then you can go ahead and buy groceries when they're on sale. You can make great stuff, and you can impress the ladies too. It's a very helpful skill in the long run, because even if you get married or you just have a girlfriend all the time, one of you is going to want to not cook, and the other one of you, well, is going to have to know how to cook unless you want to pay money out the ass, to order out, and it doesn't always work that way, okay? Budgeting, okay? Budgeting's something I wish I learned in school because, you get all this money, you start working your first job, and what's the first instinct you get when you first get your job, okay? You're still living with your parents usually when you get your first job, so you're like, I got money. I'm going to spend it on stupid shit. Everything I've ever wanted. I want a crappy car so I can drive it around and ride it and hot rod it until it breaks down. But I didn't budget out the money to repair the car and do maintenance on it, so that car falls apart on me pretty quick. I want to go buy a high-end, $1,700 gaming computer, so I can play all the latest games, or, just dumb stuff, okay? You'll buy a bunch of crap, you'll waste your money, you didn't budget anything out, so when you have a falling out with your parents or whatever, you have no money to leave. I had $3,000 to leave when me and my stepdad fell out, okay? I planned that budget out myself, but I didn't learn that from school, and I wish I did. Okay? Investment. Putting your money away and stockpiling a little bit every time. I mean, put away $20 from each paycheck. You'd be surprised how much money you have by the end of the year, okay? How credit works, okay? When you get a credit card, that can do a lot to you, okay? And either it can make you or break you. Okay, the whole society is based off of credit right now. So trying to get a job, they screen your credit. If your credit's good, they think, well, God, this guy must be very reliable. He pays his bills, he buys his stuff, and da 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 da. Same thing goes for an apartment. If they see you got crap credit because you got out of school and you have a crap ton of student loans and you haven't paid any of those, your credit goes... Okay, and if you bought a lot of crap with their credit card, like a brand new, Ford F-150 or whatever the hell your dream vehicle is, I got a G35X myself, and you don't pay on that kind of crap, it will wrecking ball your credit, and when you try to move somewhere to find a better job, to make a better opportunity for yourself, your credit's crap. They look at that and they say no. So you'll be able to get an apartment. There are places you can still get an apartment without getting screened for credit, but usually they need a lot of work and they're kind of a rat trap. I got lucky at one point and I found a place for $325 a month, all utilities paid. This is not that place. No, this is notably more expensive. Okay. Scheduling and time management. You need to know how to manage your time because there's only 24 hours in a day, and I guarantee you by the time you turn 25, you're going to start losing hours because you need to sleep. Your energy is no longer infinite. When I was 23, I didn't need any sleep for a whole week. 24, I needed an hour of sleep a day at least. 25, I needed 3 hours of sleep. 26, I needed multiple hours of sleep, and it just got worse. And I told my parents, how do you survive? I figure I'll be in a coma by the time I'm 40. Car repair. Okay. Let's face it, all of us are going to get a car at one point or another, regardless of how piss poor we are. Okay, and we need a ride to get back and forth because bus districts really are crap. I mean, there's a reason why they call RTD. It's Regional Transport District in Colorado, but RTD by the locals is known as Reason to Drive. Okay, and being able to know how to change a tire while you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere is critical knowledge. You gotta know how to do this, okay? I didn't have a father who raised me to know anything about car repair, okay? I was detached from my father for pretty much all my life. Any stepdad I had coming in was not useful at all in that field because they were overgrown man-childs. Bleh. And it was the guy who didn't have a car and was a complete hippie who taught me how to change a tire on the road. You know who you are. Home repair. Now, inevitably, whether you get get an apartment and just jump apartment to apartment to apartment, or whether you get your own house, it does help tremendously to know how to fix things in your own home. Sometimes you can even get a discount on your rent by providing the maintenance for your apartment. Something to think about. And if something falls apart, if you can fix it real quick instead of waiting, a week to 4 weeks for your landlord to come down and get it fixed, all the more to you. You gotta know it. If women don't find you handsome, they sure should find you handy. You know the statement. Okay, basic first aid. Okay, if you're gonna raise a kid, it really helps. It really helps to be able to do first aid. Because kids are going to hurt themselves. They're going to do stupid shit. And you know what? You are too. You're going to try to fix something that is probably out of your league, or you're going to get angry at it, and you're going to try to beat it, and it's going to be a lot tougher than you are, and you're going to leave nasty gashes or cut a hole in yourself or whatever. It helps to know first aid to at least get yourself bandaged up so you don't bleed out by the time you get to a hospital if you need to go in one. I've only been in a hospital maybe 2 times in my entire life. Maybe I'm overly cautious, or, maybe it's the fact that I know how to do some basic first aid. But, hey, good stuff. And the government, they didn't teach us squat when I was growing up in school. Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, monarchy, dictatorship, none of that stuff. None of that stuff. The only reason I know anything about it at all is because my mom was one of those people, hey, I'm going to buy every book in the Scholastic catalog for you, and you're going to read them all. I learned more from those books than I did ever in school, okay? And I'll be honest with you, my favorite kind of books were actually like unsolved mysteries, sci-fi, and, fantasy books. Okay, I was never big into geography, history, and all that, but at least I know where my states are. If you give me a map, I can tell you where my state is. I can tell you where the surrounding states are. I'm not so good with the East Coast, but, the whole West Side and the Midwest, I can handle it no problem. I'm not one of those people who, is going to be a dumbass on, like, how are you smarter than a fifth grader? Okay, thinking and logic. Thinking and logic is a nice thing, too. A lot of schools don't teach critical thinking anymore. They don't make students think for themselves. They hand them a piece of paper and they give them a lecture and bleh, be done with it. Okay, you want to make a kid think for himself. Okay, doctors and, all that kind of stuff, they make crap tons of money. You know why? Because they save lives. Same thing goes with firemen. They usually make a pretty good figure as well. Okay, why shouldn't teachers? Teachers control the very future from the ground up of what we are going to be. Okay, if you don't teach them critical thinking, how to think for themselves, and you don't, make them understand logic, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, then eventually they're going to grow up only smart enough to do the job and not ask questions, which is great for the corporate world, but for people who want to make changes in this world and want to grow up and do something amazing, they're going to have to learn the hard way, because there's nobody teaching them that. Okay? Skepticism. Question everything. Question everything. Question everything and keep an open mind. Always be learning about things. Skepticism is an important thing to have in your life. Not cynicism, which, is a totally different thing, okay? They can fall hand in hand, unfortunately, if used incorrectly. But skepticism, you always want to question everything, and you want to know the ins and outs of every possible scenario. You want to know every possible option. Skepticism is another important skill to have. And these are just some of the things I think about. I'm sorry to bust you down with all this. It's, just blah, 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 blah. It probably sounds like to you. But I would like to see people taught these things, because one of these days we're going to be raised in a generation full of people who don't know shit. They know the very bare minimum of an education, and these are the people who are going to be working for us in the future. These are the people who are going to be choosing our very eventual future, and that's terrifying. I mean, think about this. If you had a blackout in your city for about a week or so because some sort of major infrastructure failure, how are you going to buy anything? A lot of young people are working these jobs these days, and they don't know how to count back your change. They don't know how to do basic paper math, okay? And by the time they get out of school or college, they don't remember any of it. It didn't retain, okay? It's cryptic, jaded, and blah, okay? Because now they're no longer focused on all this crap they learned in school. They're like, well, this shit doesn't pertain to real life. Real life, none of these things I learned in school help me with real life, and they panic. Now they have to learn new skills. This is no longer important, what they learned in school. So, I beg you, teachers of the world, teach students basic survival for the real world. Teach them practical education, stuff that will help them in their life. Okay, Common Core math and crap like that, anything beyond, trigonometry, unless they're an engineer or a computer programmer or, an architect, those things are not relevant. Okay, they're great to know, and they teach some basic thinking. I love it. Great stuff, but not practical for day-to-day life. Most people will never use those, skills in a day-to-day life. As a matter of fact, they'll forget it even if they do learn it, and it does become practical at some point, because the time they'll use it will be so far down the road it won't be relevant. Okay, and for that, they can Google it up. Okay, we live in an age of instant information. I hate arguing with people because they can take it 3 seconds to look something up on a phone, but instead they go off half-cocked with half information. Anyhow, I could go on with a much longer rant, but I'd like to keep this around 15 minutes. My name is Dano, also known as Incognis. Thank you very much for your time.